G'day chunky chili dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to another episode of Son of a Chunk, the chili hasn't fallen far from the tree. Now you're probably wondering on the main YouTube channel, why am I pivoting over to this side? Well, it's very funny you should say that. I'm going to show you in a second a secondary camera that we've managed to build for the channel, so that way we can show you some extra cool content for the rest of the way. It's going to be an exciting time, I cannot wait. There's a lot of noise going along the outside of me. I've also managed to upgrade my audio, so that way I now have some DJI mini mics to help me get through some of this chaos that is on the main roads on the outside of the world. So we can get through all these chilies in the outdoors, I should say, and make sure that we actually get to have a look at everything up close and personal. Now, without further ado, before we get into this episode, let us remind ourselves who we're here for and what he does best when he says he is the...
I'm the chunky chili dude, and on with the heat.
And on with the heat. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get through this intro and we'll see you right afterwards. Welcome back, chunky chili dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to another episode. As we've said, it's a beautiful day outside to get stuck in to some beautiful chili making. We've got some excellent things coming up in the episode today. I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to go through our mystery pods. The mystery pods are growing, which is fantastic. We've got one of our marigolds that has successfully started to grow. We've got good news out of our hydroponics. The chilies are starting to grow out of that as well. Plus our Carolina Reaper plants, they're ready to transport. But we're going to get all through that very, very shortly. Let's get into some of these details as what's going on with this channel. Why am I looking in two different directions? What's going on? Well, for those who are watching at home, in the comfort of your own homes, I am set up on a Canon D600, which is going to give me the optimum output for photography, for getting you guys some close-up shots of those chilies, which is going to look fantastic. I cannot wait. But also too, get a different angle of what's going on behind the scenes as well. A couple of little bit of close-up photos, a little bit of extra vocal videos as well. We ended up picking it up. Now you're probably wondering how am I showing you this right now but being filmed over here? It's because Mrs. Chili Chunk, she has a 600D as well, and I loved her so much that I had to get one of my own as a little Father's Day gift from the seed of the chunk. And I thought, you know what, this is going to be a great time to get out and use both cameras in preparation for some other hobbies that I do as well. It's not just chilies that I do on my daily activities, it's a lot of other activities that I do as well. So let's break down what we're doing today. We've got so much in front of us that we need to dissect and go through. We're going to take up about 10 to 15 minutes of your time, and then in the next episode, we're finally going to be making some hot sauce because I've got some good news for you guys. We finally have chilies growing, which is great. We've got Carolina Reapers showing up. I'm going to show you some photos there, and we have some Trinidad Scorpions looking like they're ready to start germinating and taking off, and our Tabascos are starting to flower, which is great news. So we have lots of cool things happening in the farm of chili. Let's all get stuck into it. But as always, let's start talking about what's in front of us first before we branch out into the future. So what have we got? What have we got in front of us? So we've got a couple of pods here today. We're going to go through a couple of them and I'm going to show you what they are. I'm going to walk up to the cameras and show you guys. Hopefully it doesn't distort the camera too much, but marigold. We finally have a marigold set, and I will get up to the camera and show you guys this one in a second. We'll actually zoom in and you guys can see, but the marigold is looking absolutely fantastic. We're up to our second leaves already. You can already start to see the internal take for that marigold, and we have our new marigolds and our other garden looking fantastic. We'll take you through some of those photo shots in a second. You can see how that's all coming together. But the marigolds are looking fantastic. We've got some second flowering on these ones here, so this is going to be looking good. We're a while away off from transporting, but I want to make sure that this actually blooms into a marigold and flowers as a marigold before we transport it again, because obviously we want to make sure we hit the garden right. So we've got a spot for the marigold plant ready to go. Now unfortunately only one of the seeds took out of the 3 plants, but that's not to worry. It means we have 2 extra pods to do some extra work too. There are some things that we're going to try and see if we can do with some of the other plants that we do have, and that's going to be in the next episode as well, all about transporting and what's going to happen up the track. So there's. Now, the mystery pods. Where do we start? We do not know what these are. All we know is that we have 4 successful chili plants sitting here, almost 3. We almost lost one. We've got one up here that I'll film up and show you in a second, that its first leaves took way too much of a hit and didn't recover, but the second leaves did grow back, which is great news for us. We now have 4 successfully grown plots ready to go, so the pods in the middle are good. I've got some extra chili plants out the side here. Nothing is going off them, so I'm going to assume they are no comprende for the seeds. which is not a bad thing. It means we can just reuse these pods for another day. So when we cut and move these chili plants out of the way, when I take these little pods and I tear them and move them into their gardens ready for their plant, which we will probably do in the next episode, all they will do is just dissolve and then grow around. And the good thing is we don't have to worry too much about it. It'll just dissolve on its own and it'll help growing, and we can't lose these ones, which is great. 4 successful chilies ready to go. We still don't know what they are. We're going to obviously find out what they will be, and hopefully we'll find out in the next few weeks what they will be when they start to take their colouring. If they have a purple stem on the base of them, we are looking at a Trinidad Scorpion. If they are a brown stem, we are looking at a Butcholokia. And if, under any circumstances, it is a yellow to purple stem, we are looking at a Carolina Reaper. So fingers crossed on all fronts that they come up successful. I don't care what they are, we're going to source them no matter what. So we're going to turn them into some awesome, awesome sauces, and I cannot wait. We've got the Tabasco sauce ready to go to prep. The bottles are done, they're ready to do, and we also have to just wait on that plant right in front of us, which I will show you guys very, very shortly when we do our garden update of how everything is going and looking so far. I can't wait to do that. Now, we move this out of the way. What have we got? What have we got? We've got unos, dos, tres, and cuatro. What's going on here? So, we had a bit of an issue, but we've got a solution. We have 2 successfully grown Carolina Reaper plants on their 4th set of leaves, ready for transport. This is going to be the hard part though, because this is the one I want to keep. This is the most successful one. So this one here, trying to figure out how I want to do this. I said in the last video that we're going to do these 3 ways. We're going to rip the base off and let them grow from ground up and out. The other one we was just going to cut out and plant the other one in, and the other ones we were going to see how long we can grow them in for. Now, the problem we've got is that these are more than ready to be transported across, but my biggest fear is transporting them and then losing them, regardless of the fact that we've done so well. I've got 2 more here that are looking pretty wet at the moment because they are filled with a lot of water. I did go a bit ham on the water, but I will drain these, that's no problem. And they are ready to transport as well. They're onto their 2nd and 3rd leaves, which is great. But we've got a little one here that had a bit of an accident that we're going to see how it goes, but this one was falling over in one of the pots and I was really, really worried about it actually still making it. So I decided I was just going to pluck it straight from the soil while the soil was still nice and wet. And in doing so, I managed to successfully transport it across with minimal impact. So I'm hoping that with this one here, we're going to actually have a successful recover. We might be able to get it back up to its flourishing stage and go from there. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. Obviously, we've got plenty of Carolina Reaper plants here, but the plan is behind me is going to be the Wall of Chili. We have Walls of Fames, we have Hall of Fames, we have Walk of Fames. I want the Chili of Fame. So we're going to be putting in some elevated pot plants. You're going to be seeing them just over here. I'll move this out of the way so you guys can see. Hopefully you can still see me in the camera. If you can't, you'll be able to see me on the secondary camera, which is great. This is why we're doing a bit more moving. Wall of Chili along here. So we're going to start along here. We're going to have elevated pot plants that's going to start along here. We're going to move our way over and we're going to finish up about here, and we're going to have, hello there, we're going to have ourselves 2 extra elevated chili pot plants here. I'm intending to have them to come out to about where I'm standing, and we're going to have a lot of Carolina Reapers. This is going to be our chili Wall of Fame, and in amongst it all, we'll try and grow the marigolds and all that stuff, so that way we can get it looking nice and pretty as well, getting it looking great but also being functional. Marigold's purpose use is to obviously deter those bugs. Our chrysanthemums are looking fantastic as well. Again, when we go into the garden update in the next 5 or so minutes, you guys will see how everything's going. So far so good. So we're going to attempt to transport one of these today, and I'm feeling that we might do feeling we might do the big boy, and I'll go and grab a pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it there, and in 2 seconds you're going to see me come back with a big pot here, soil mix here, and hopefully some better news. Let's go. All right, welcome back. So I've got my pot, I've got my seeding mix. I love this seeding mix. This is going to be great for us to transport. It's going to give it a good nutrients for these plants. It's going to help us revitalize the plants and make sure that it's not too much impact damage on the transport itself. into its second home, and then once the roots absolutely take off on this thing, then we can transport to its final home. But I feel like for the next 4 months it's going to be fine inside this pot, but we definitely do need to get them out of their confined space and stop constricting them and get them into something a little bit more habitatual. There we go. That's a word you can probably put in the dictionary just there. Now, I only have one working glove today because the other one was left out in the rain, and it has been raining for the last 2 days because we are in a very tropical climate where we live, and that is totally fine. So we're going to work one hand at a time with this one. Now, when we drop the NPK fertilizer in this, which we probably will do at some stage, my best advice to you guys is most definitely, try to avoid using it with your bare hands. It is quite poisonous, but it does obviously help the plants quite a lot. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything right. Now I've managed to gap that nice and neatly there. Just going to take this off for a second. Going to quickly pause and see if I can get this tin disconnected. I will try and put this in the credit scene. You know, obviously I like to blooper my credit scenes. So in the credit scene, you might see me struggling with this tin and we might end up destroying it all. And you might see a very upset, chunky chili dude and son of a chunk in about 30 seconds. So let's take a pause from there and I'll see you in 30 seconds with hopefully a non-destroyed chili plant. Somehow I've managed to do this with minimal impact, so this is good news. Great news, the roots are so healthy there, all the way down here. So we've got a really good growth with these chilies. Now, I'm going to get this straight into the pot, and then I'll explain how I managed to do it. So let's base ourselves with some more soil, pack it around, and get this down as if it never even moved. All right. And then we're going to finish it up with the rest of the seeding mix. I'm just going to sprinkle it around it so that way, again, not as impacted as we'd like. I'm just going to hand scoop it. I know I've obviously thrown the gloves out the window, but we aren't touching the fertilizer just yet, so we aren't at any risk of being a problem yet for our hands. But always remember to just wash your hands. And there we go. First Carolina Reaper plants transported. Now, hopefully we don't have an outcome like we did last time with our other ones. I believe we kind of moved them way too soon. I think these ones are going to be right. Now, for the rest of them, this isn't game over just yet. We're not out of the neck of the woods because we still have one more very important thing we need to take care of, and that is obviously getting them conditioned to the temperature and the climate outside. So I will still keep this plant predominantly inside for now, behind the window, just getting itself ready to go. But for the foreseeable few days, I will end up taking it in and out, and I'll try and do some update videos where I bring her in and out and just get it used to the temperature outside. So right now it is good to go. I will give it a bit of water and just make sure it's hydrated and ready to go. I'll pop it into the sun over here and it can have the final hour of the sun that we have in the backyard ready to go. With these ones here, same thing. I'm going to start getting them temperature climated as well. So they're just going to sit along the side of the windowsills here, just get themselves ready for the weathering, and then obviously we'll harden them and get them ready for transport again. We do that and we minimize how much impact we really do with these plants, and just gets them hardened and conditioned, ready to go into the soil and the ground. Good news for them is they're all going into elevated pot plants, so they don't have to fight with everything that's already been in the ground, like with most of our other plants, which I will show you, because we have unfortunately lost one of our Carolina Reaper plants. It's not the end of the world. We have doubled our mass with the other one, which is great, but obviously we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We had a firecracker plant in there. It didn't make it either. The rest of the garden has been pretty good. So it is hit and miss in certain areas. We need to figure out what's going on there. So without further ado, let's finish up here, go through all this finally, and what we'll do is we'll take you through what's been happening for the rest of the garden. So let's transition over to what are the other plants doing. But wait, before you go, I wanted to show you guys how we managed to get that plant out of these things. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Mr. Fothergill's is fantastic. I will recommend these for anyone and everyone. Now, obviously they have a little tiny lip on the outside. So you can get yourself a can opener and just cut around the outside, that's no problem. Or just do a little pinch and twist and eventually the aluminium clasping on the outside will give way. The best part is the rest is an internal insulated toilet roll. So find your groove, peel it away, peel the base away like a normal tin can and just push the soil up through the base. By this stage, you would have already had a really good based out soil and plant ready to go. Mr. Fothergill's, 10 out of 10. All right, so this is the Tabasco plant, looking very, very healthy at the moment, which is looking fantastic. As you can see, lots of new flowers are sitting all over it, ready to go. So we're expecting to see lots of good chilies coming out of this one. And as you can see in the background as well, we've got the sprinkler going too, which is a nice little relaxing watch. Unfortunately, that is what was remaining of our first Carolina Reaper plant. It did not make the cut, unfortunately. Didn't survive, but you know, on to bigger and better things and stronger things, hopefully, as we look up to our actual Carolina Reaper plant that has, in fact, taken a lot of good fruiting. And we are looking at a couple of extra chilies. I'll take some photos and upload them in a second. You can see everything that's been happening with this one. But so far, so good with this chili plant. It is looking fantastic. We did have ourselves a firecracker plant, as you can see in the background there. Just trying to get that one in focus for you. It didn't make the cut, unfortunately. For some reason, everything in that back corner is not making it between there and just down here. We are not seeing much success in fruiting through these areas, but we are seeing a good strong one through there and obviously through our Tabascos as well. So far we've got 2 successful plants inside the garden of this one. And with some slight modification, we've managed to add the sprinkler to the top now rather than the base, just to get a very even cover of water throughout the soil. As you can see, the external weeds are starting to grow again on the outside, so there is a bit of pruning that needs to be done. However, I am liking the vegetation fence it's kind of making, so I will only trim it back a little bit just to kind of make it look like a green fence around the outside, but I'll keep it at a minimum. Anything that starts to go too crazy will get cut back. Moving over to the chilies, the habaneros are looking absolutely fantastic. We're already starting to see flowering and fruiting on this one, which is insane to think that this has only been a plant we've had for about a month now, and the planting has been fantastic and been working very, very well. Move over to our basil, and our basil is obviously, as you can see, flowering, which is very, very beautiful. It's actually dropped off a couple of little tiny friends on either side of it to start flowering again. So we're going to be seeing quite a bit of a bunch of sprouting through our basil. Then we move up to our marigolds. Now the marigolds aren't just 2 marigolds now. If I move them around, we now have 3 marigolds. 3 marigolds and many more along the way. So quite a lot of color coming through the garden at the moment, which is fantastic. I'm going to save the best one for last though. We're going to sloop around it quickly. I'm going to come over here all the way through this water, which is going to be a beautiful cinematic view, to see our thyme and our oregano both fruiting very, very well, doing very, very successful, setting very well in the garden, which was my biggest concern, was getting this right for herbs, but so far so good. And now if we move back to the piece de resistance, my favorite part of the garden has been these guys just here, the chrysanthemums. Our chrysanthemums are looking fantastic. We have quite a few flowers on them, which has been great. They are getting watered, and so am I right now, which is even better. But good news is we have a lot of great flowers coming through, which is keeping these bugs at bay. We're not seeing many pests around here hanging out, which is good, but the chrysanthemums are flowering and looking fantastic. We'd have a blooper reel this afternoon, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. This is very close to our 10th episode. I know 10 episodes aren't very far, but it does take a lot to do what we do here at the Chunky Chili Factory. I look forward to doing all the sources and all the content for you, but if you could help me back by just liking and subscribing, potentially sharing the videos out to your friends, just so people can also get engaged with what we're doing here. We can punch tips and tricks off each other and see what happens and see who's got the better chili outcome. Love to bring someone over to the Chunky Chili Farm and check out what's going on. So make sure you comment down below where you're from and what you're interested in seeing most out of this channel. Like, subscribe, and share it to your friends. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.